not ready for you yet. I'll be right with you if there's anyone there. Guess we'll just have to wait. All right. Glasses go bye-bye. Okay, just give us a few secs to get things in order. Live chat. I think that's it.
Why deal with multiple devices slowing you down on T-Mobile 5G home internet? Switch to Cox Internet.
Shh. Be quiet. Meow. 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 Mario. Okay, are we in? I think, maybe. We're crooked. Better, worse, better. There we go. Yeah. Okay, let's see. Messages. Blah, 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 blah. There we go. Okay. Let's see. Hi, everybody. Sorry for the momentary brouhaha. We just woke up about an hour ago and it's sticking with us. You know. Don't know if you guys ever have really intense dreams. I mean, there's dreams, but there's different graduations of them. There's your normal dreams, and then there's like your trauma dreams, and there's or flashbacks, night terrors, and then there's ones that kind of fall somewhere in between, and I'm not quite sure how to describe them. It's I don't know. Maybe those of you who have, obviously who have DID and have littles will know what I'm talking about, what we're talking about. But it's like tapping into that consciousness that you have as a child, as and seeing the world that way. It's like everything is primary colors, and I don't know. It's we're trying to describe things again that just have no words, but we've had a series of because we've been under the stress and the pressure from trying to find a job. It's like our subconscious has just went berserk. Not surprisingly, because that's what systems do when they're put under life stressors, major ones like birth, deaths, marriage, finding a job, losing a job, things like that. Things that really impact our ability to stay stable-ish. You have to forgive us. Our tablet is having trouble connecting. This blinking in and out. I don't care. Netflix, go away. But anyway, it's we had one last night, and it just this morning, however you want to put it, and it's stuck with us real strong. So we're still from that. It's like you want to go back in and try to finish the dream because we were woken abruptly, but it's also one of these where you kind of don't. I don't know, it was really weird. Something about triangle paint, and it was almost like doing your life in review or something. Like I said, I don't know quite how to describe it. Anyway, let's check in with you guys and see who's here. If I can make my tablet behave. Live chat, please. Yes, Chocho, I'm right in here. Chill out. I know I may have to reconnect on this. Come on, live chat, please. Anyway, it was just really bizarre. All right, I guess maybe we're gonna have to reconnect to the stream with our tablet here. Give us just a sec. All right, let's see here. Unfortunately, we're sitting in one of those bad Wi-Fi pockets at the moment. What? I'm right here. Okay, tablet does not like that. All right, we're going to what the hell, YouTube? All right, you know what? We're just going to reboot the tablet. See if that makes it happy. And in the meantime, we'll just pull this a little bit closer so that you can see right up our nose and every pore on our fur. It's like the bags under our eyes. All right, so let's do the chat messages here. Okay, we have 420 Witch. Hello, Lavender System. Hello, good to see you. Blue Rose. 420 Witch, how has everyone been? A rough week? Yeah, Lavender System. We hear you on that. Never Wonder System. Hello. Will's mom. Blue Rose. Yes, let's see. Doing all right until today. Today has been utter shit in all honesty. 420 Witch was saying. Kaleidoscope, hello. Don't think that we've seen you around. If not, then you changed your name and we don't recognize you. So if not, welcome to the stream. Welcome to any new folks who might be on the stream. We know that we get a lot of lurkers from time to time, so don't feel bad about that. Participate at your will. Let's see. Sorry, I've been having a rough week. Sending hugs, Blue. Vivid, intense, wild dreams. Yes, I get them. The intense ones are so hard to wake up from, even though let alone process. So yeah, it's like a third or a half of you or 3/4 of you is still stuck in that emotional headspace, as it were. What? No, I don't want a filter. When did they give us filters, and how do I make you go away? No filter. If I hit that, I'm going to close. There we go. Okay. So yeah, very hard to wake up from, for sure. Taking psychotropic drugs gives me wild and vivid dreams, not always pleasant, but always bizarre. Yeah, in our late teens, our younger and stupider days, we were kind of right along with you there. But yeah, it was just really weird. And it's like there was a message there, something that was supposed to be gotten across. But Alicia Chera, hello friends, haven't been able to catch a live stream in a few minutes and need to leave this one soon as well because early shift. I really wish that the chats would not fade away when I'm there. Live chat messages, thank you. Just wanted to check in and to say hi. Hello, thank you for dropping in by the stream, Alicia. Sorry, like we're just saying we're a little discombobulated, I guess is the best way to put it. Okay, let's see if this will behave itself after rebooting. If not, we'll just have to keep, doing the lean forward and touch the screen for the chat, which is irritating, but like I said, we're kind of in a bad pocket for the wireless. Okay, there we go. Are you going to behave? There they are. Okay, excellent. Now, if I touch this, I don't want top messages. I want all messages. And now, of course, you're going to blank because you have to reload them. There we go. Okay, hopefully that should stay. Yeah, it was really bizarre because it's like we were in a big blank space and there was dissociated and discombobulated or very close in feeling. Yeah, because it's like this one was both. And God, it's how to even attempt to describe it. It's like we were within a void and there were these platforms that would spiral around and spiral up and kind of like a helix on the inside. And there were all these other, but like each platform was a memory or something, or an awareness of that particular point in time. We'll call it an ego state. You'll be hearing that a lot lately once we finish the theory of structural dissociation, because that's more or less what we're talking about is, and we'll go into it in the episode, so we won't do it here, but essentially it's those feelings and perceptions that you have as a child because your personality hasn't quite formed yet. So each individual experience or group of experiences tends to stand out with a particular reality or gloss or sheen on them. It's so tough to describe. I'm not even sure I can, but yeah, it's just really weird. So it's like we were moving from, and it's almost like it was almost like we were having one of those where we're trying to escape from something, or we've talked about the house dream before. There's a new variant on that one actually that we've been working our way through, but this one was different and was unique. But it was as though each was like a stepping stone, and we were moving along them, but at the same time, it's like there were fragments or people. I don't know, maybe there were folks in the headspace that haven't come forward yet. More than likely, I just want to say they're probably fragments of experiences or those ego states from that time. But it's like they were simultaneously trying to show us something and hide something from us. It's like there was something there that they were trying to hide from us, and the farther that we would go, the closer to it we would get. And the last one that we really remember was we were outside, or we were inside of our cousin's house from, like when we were 7 or 8. And we would always go over there for our, to visit and whatnot. And we were in that house, and then we go outside, and there was this tree there, and it was just, I can't describe it. It's more half feeling and imagery than any kind of a coherent linear line, if that makes any sense, because it's like intermixed with this was stuff of from way in our adulthood, but it was getting mixed. And that's about as much as I can explain. But it was disturbing and discombobulating, and it's one of those where I don't know if you guys get this, but it's like we want to dive back in to find out what the hell it was all about and see if we can continue it out. Because it always cuts out at like a critical point, you know. So I don't know. We're a little off base this morning because of that, but we've been under a lot of stress lately. So let's see who popped in. Let's see here. Kaleidoscope S, yes, we have not made comments for quite some time. Renamed before we were Steph, if that helps. Oh, okay, yep. We tend to associate you guys with the names that we originally see you under, unless you correct us. So, hey, Sad Doggo, good to see you. But yeah, boy, it was just really bizarre, and yeah. Let's see here. Alicia says, "Hi, Alicia." I'm sorry. Hello. Okay, there we go. It's just got a little bit of a lag. Hi, Blue Rose. I'm good, actually. Thanks for asking. Alicia says, "How are you doing?" Let's see. Lavender System. Dreamark. Hello, Lavender System. Dream architecture is always messed up, which adds to the sense of disturbing mess, and absolutely on with a feeling of wanting to finish said dream no matter how messed up. Yeah, and we'll do that even like with the trauma dreams. Sometimes your dream sounds like an impression rather than a narrative style. Well, yeah, but it did have a narrative in it. We were being shown things like bits from different points in our life, but it was also, there was this element of, oh, we have to keep him away from this. He doesn't need to see this. That's not kosher. So let's divert over here. But at the same time, it's just, I wish there was an invention where you could just plug into, your skull and watch it on a TV. Okay. Any of you folks out there ever seen the movie Brainstorm from back in the 80s? It's about they actually develop a device that's essentially a VCR for your mind, and they record these impressions, and there's one where they record a guy when he's dying, and it becomes like this bootleg tape for people to experience. Weird movie, but it was kind of like that. Haven't thought of that flick in a long time. But yeah, it's so nebulous and yet concrete. It's like there's something there. I know there was something there. Something important was there, or several somethings, as the case may be. To be honest, the layout visually was kind of more like a board game almost. Kind of reminded us of that Deep Space Nine episode where they get trapped inside of this board game, and they're like, Alan Moraine, count to 3, Alan Moraine, something like, I can't remember exactly what it was. For you Star Trek fans, you probably know the one that I'm talking about. Really bizarre, but yeah, impression rather than narrative style will work with a kind of a combination thereof. Really bizarre. 420 saying, last intense dream they had was of a house party at my godmother's home. She's passed over, and she was there, and we had one of our emotional chats we used to have as parties, and you wake up crying floods. You woke up crying floods, yeah, or recording your dreams. Well, yeah, yeah, and we actually know exactly what you're talking about. There, 420, because we'll have those as well. For years after our grandmother passed, she would show up in our dream state, and we would be like, "You're dead," and she'd be like, "I know," just very matter of fact. It's like, but and then it's like she was dead, but then she came back alive. It was weird, but most of them she actually knew that she was dead, and it's like, honey, you're dead, and I know, honey, but I'm still here. So it's like, I don't know. It's like, was that a prototype Rosemary, or I don't know. But we do know what you're talking about there. Tay, hello, good to see you. Let's see. Blue Rose is saying overall they're doing okay, but had a rough month, so we aren't really doing so good at the moment. Yeah, amen. Well, you guys have seen our first weekly logs. We actually did one for this week / last week. I don't know, Monday vanished somewhere. Uh, so we actually recorded on Wednesday, but we just didn't put it out because we had the live stream coming up, and it was just kind of more of the same, just us bitching about, trying to find a job and whatnot, which is putting us under a lot of stress. It's like therapy is right there within our grasp, but there's nothing happening. Although we actually did find a company that has honest to God paper applications that we'll be filling one out and dropping our resume off, and hopefully shaking hands with a manager, because you can't get anybody else. It's all online and we hate it. Might be what you guys are used to, but not us. We were taught completely different on the job search skills, so yeah, we know that that's putting pressure, which always means that the system goes, woo, which is what we've been doing. Let's see. Did we have some more come on, or was that it? How do I get to the chats? Live chats, please. There we go. Okay. Let's see. I've been told our loved ones who have passed over will visit us in our dreams. I like that theory. She was just visiting me and having a chat. Yeah, when we're always in her kitchen and we're just talking about things, and it's one of these where it's like, yeah, I may be dead, but I'm still there for you, little guy. So it's like, does it make you process, or does it help, or why are you not updating? Weird. Okay. Tay says, hope everyone is doing well this month. It's been okay for me. Stopped my antidepressants and restarted with trauma therapy. Not sure if that's a good mix. Stay on your meds would be our recommendation there, but we're not medical professionals. We're definitely not your therapist. Check in with your care team on that. But if you're digging into trauma work, yeah, you need to be stable. We know that. Let's see, Lavender System. Our dad keeps showing up in our dreams, and he's been dead for like 2 years and always so much overtly more violent than he was in real life. Most of his abuse and tendencies were quiet while he was alive. Yeah, we've only had a few dreams with our stepfather, our abuser, one of many, actually. Okay, I don't know why this isn't working. Yeah, this is just lagging like crazy. So we're just going to have to, until this thing, if it catches up, we're just going to have to keep touching the screen. I wonder if there's a setting to stop them from disappearing. Maybe. Maybe not. I don't know. YouTube just doesn't want to work for us. At least on the tablet and on this too. We've got unfortunately, you can't hook your tablet directly up to the internet. So, Tay, if it works for you, then do what works. I'd always recommend doing both meds and therapy. I hope things start getting. Damn it! Stop. Oh, okay. I see it. We swipe up. Start getting easier for you soon. Yeah. Again, just to back that up, I would stay on your meds because you need that stable baseline. Particularly in order to do trauma work, because God, it's just merciless. Yay, we're looking forward to getting back into it. Of course, by the time that we have a job to pay for therapy, we'll need therapy about finding the job to pay for therapy. It's like, because unfortunately, insurance is not taken, which sucks. But we'll make it happen some way, hopefully. Or at least we'll definitely get the job, and then we'll rapidly find out whether or not we're actually still capable of functioning in any way, shape, or form out there. We have our doubts, but we're going to try anyway. Let's see. Caden Knight, capitalism lives to throw us into vicious cycles, it seems. Yeah. We were thinking about that the whole other day. It's the gotta go to work to make money, to go to work to make money, to pay your bills and then go to work. It's just, there should be a happy medium there someplace, but there isn't. But I mean, we were fortunate to actually have financial some finances there when we were going through our grief period and going through, basically like the past 10, 11 years. But that ran out. So what? If you want to meow, come in here. Or, well, don't meow. Anyway, you want a cat bomb. So we get that. It's that whole vicious cycle, as it were. Cho, the door is open. Come in. Stop sitting in the hallway and yowling. Yeah, this tablet's just absolutely no use to us right now. Maybe if we just try disconnecting. And reconnecting. Maybe, maybe not. If it doesn't catch up in a minute or two, we'll just go ahead and turn it off. Let's see, lavender system. The older we get, the prospect of being forced into work gets more and more terrifying. Yeah, absolutely. And right now, that's one of the sources of stress, is not only looking and trying to find, but whether or not we're going to be able to deal with it. And we're terrified. We're absolutely absolutely terrified. We're trying not to drop so many F-bombs anymore, but, it's like, we're Gen X. It's kind of like we paint with the F word the way that, kids paint with finger paint. Damn, lost train of thought. Whew. So yeah, just terrified to get back into work. Because it's like, okay, what if we're having a day and somebody gets aggressive with us, and then all of a sudden, boom, bootstraps comes out, or we switch into a little, how is that going to go? Just weird. Anyway, so Sad Dog was saying, or rather, excuse us, Derek is saying, so I'm an anger holder, I guess, came out recently in the work thing. Yeah, no, we've always just been just dealing with things. Let's just say I could start a union if they keep pushing me. Kate and I, we're most of us the kind who like having the structure of a job, but get frustrated that working our decent full-time job doesn't provide the financial stability we need. Yeah, and I think that's more or less everybody right now, just with the economy. I mean, hell, the world economy right now is just shot to hell, and it's like we're going there in a handbasket together. You see, the ironic thing, the whole real ironic bit of the situation is that we already have a job that suits us, delivering for Amazon as a flex delivery driver, because it gives us that flexibility that we need. If we're having a bad day, if we're flattened, we don't necessarily have to work. We can choose. You can cancel a block up to an hour before your delivery time, so it does offer that flexibility. But unfortunately, the gas prices are just so damn high, and they keep going higher. It's like right now, it's over $5 a gallon here. We were looking yesterday, and you can't find it under $4.89. And most of it is like $5.09. They shot it up for the weekend again. So it's just, if it weren't for the gas, if the gas could go down even to just $3 a gallon again, that would be, it would be economically feasible, and we could just simply do the delivery on the days when, our daughter doesn't go to college and our wife, doesn't need our vehicle in order to go to school to teach. Until the gas prices stabilize, it's going to be a losing proposition. For $100 block, we'll probably get maybe $40 out of it, which we'll do anyway. But yeah, it's just it's tough all over right now. Blue Rose, just lost your job, and that feels terrifying for us. We loved being a nurse, but now we're floating. Oh God, you see, that's part of the fear too. Is we have lost so many jobs or been fired for so many jobs for reasons that we did not understand. Now, of course, we know that we were probably switching in and out like crazy, because we could never figure out exactly what the hell it was that we did. But 489 G's, yeah, absolutely. Blue Rose, sorry to hear that. So yeah, we know that fear. And yeah, 489, that's the cheapest that you can find right now. Let's see. Lavender System saying, saw a video the other day around the fact that overwhelming emotions coming out of nowhere during an event not perceived as intense on the surface can can be coming from the situation filtering down. Yeah, and that's basic psychology. There whatever we take in during our day that we can't process goes into the subconscious to be processed when we're asleep and when we're dreaming or put into long-term storage. Not the same as the amygdala locking the EPs away. That's a different, much more severe mechanism, dealing with traumas. But yeah, those everyday things, they get shoved into the subconscious, and they all come out when you're asleep and when you're hitting that REM state, if you're lucky enough to hit REM state. Ours is still very hit or miss. It's like either we have no dreams at all or we have a really intense dreams, and ours are intense. We don't know if this works for you guys or not, or if you experience it, but we experience our dreams, and they are just as real when we're there as this reality here is. We see color. We've had all the five senses. Taste, touch, scent. It's all there. From what we understand, a lot of people don't dream in color. We always have. They're very vibrant colors. Let's see, 420 Witch, their therapist is printing me out the emotion wheel to help me identify what I'm feeling instead of just anger. For example, I can look at the when and try to pinpoint what's making me angry. Yeah, we kind of call that the peeling back. We've never really had difficulty identifying our strong emotional states, but there's all of that in between where stuff gets mixed up, and it's like there are no rules, and it's frustrating. It's very frustrating. So we hear you there. No connection. Retry. I did retry. Yeah, I think I'm just going to give up fighting this thing. And of course, it'll start working the minute that I do. So yeah, sorry we didn't post the journal update for this week. It's just we figured by the time that I actually got it done on Wednesday, that it would it would just kind of be superfluous given that we were streaming today. Blue Rose was saying, yeah, they were switching well on the job. That's not really sustainable with the job. Yeah, no kidding. Let's see, Lavender System. Just so glad we don't feel as crazy knowing we're not the only ones experiencing dreams like that, all senses and whatnot. Oh no. Oh. In fact, those states are, because there's regular dreams, and then there's these states, and then there's trauma dreams, which are really bad. But these in-betweens have always been just as real, if not more real, than this reality. There have been many, many times when we wake up when we are not sure if this is the dream and that's the reality, or if they're both just as valid. And we suffered with this before we ever were diagnosed and found out that we were a system. So this is something that we have fought our entire life. Our dream states have always felt more real to us than reality, quote unquote. In some particular dreams, they would flatten us for days and leave us with this terrible, gut-wrenching melancholy feeling, just like we had been ripped away from some place where we actually felt safe and comfortable, and forced to come into this horrible place and deal. So no, we get that. Boy, do we get that. You're not the only one. You are not alone on that, Lavender System. And it's been something that we fought our whole life. Let's see. At the Lavender System, was that the CTED Clinic video? I don't know. I know CTED Clinic has just uploaded like 4 videos recently, and we're behind. They're one of the few channels where we will actually watch, because Dr. Mike, he really lays it out, and it's accredited. This is reliable information from an expert. So we tend to watch those when we can. But CTED Clinic really is the only one that we'll watch regularly. Other than that, it's like, okay, what we watch like a lot of TED Talks or professional lectures on DID and the dissociative states and, different trauma treatments and things like that. But yeah, we need to catch up on their videos there. Let's see, Blue Rose, it's wild. We can't imagine not dreaming in color, etc. Yeah, but it's weird because apparently NTs, normal, or no, I'm sorry, anyway, the normal people, it's still soup up here, or like scrambled eggs. Apparently, they don't dream in all five senses or even dream in anything but black and white. So, kind of like, okay, yeah, we're with you. Can't really imagine that. Let's see, 420 Witch is saying that they also dream in color with strong emotions, but they don't and can't smell things within the dream, though. Didn't know all senses could activate in the dream state. Yeah, ours can. Ours can. We're not saying that we're typical, but it can definitely happen. It's like we said, sometimes it's more real than than the waking world. Let's see, Caden's saying probably about 75% of their dreams have no images and are just concepts or words. The other 25% are usually unsettlingly real. Yeah, let's see. Blue Rose, I saw that video too. We're glad they posted that update about positive triggers too. Yeah, positive triggers is an interesting subject as well because those we dealt with that just very briefly last year in our 5 tips for system supports and system survivors, because the positive triggers that we can get can take us just as much by surprise, and you can have positive flashbacks as well as the negative ones. Everybody thinks of flashbacks and triggers as being negative, but in fact they can be positive as well. But those positive experiences, just simply because there's so much contrast between your normal experience, which is trauma, and the positive triggers, it's so pronounced that it's just as traumatizing in its own way, if that makes any sense, or at least that's how our therapist explained it to us when we were having therapy with her several years ago. And that kind of took us aback because it's like, yeah, but flashbacks are a bad thing, right? And it's like, no, not always. It just depends upon what's been imprinted in there. And we get them a lot around. Holy hell, it's almost been a year, hasn't it? Jeez, where does the time go? We'll have to start thinking about Christmas episodes again. Yes, I know, Percival. Let's see, Lavender System. Also be careful with eye masks for sleep because it can make your vision blurry for like 10 minutes when you take it off due to visual cortex not processing while the mask is on. Yeah, we know exactly what are happening. We don't actually use a mask. We used to be very sensitive to light, but we've kind of gotten over that. But we do, we wear earplugs, earphones actually, with white noise, or not white noise, brown noise, because we listen to deep brown noise because it works better than white noise, which sounds a lot like frying bacon. It's like 90% of these soothing rainstorm videos on YouTube, they sound like frying bacon instead of rain. We've only found a couple that don't. Let's see, but definitely good advice there. Lavender System for sure. 420 Witch, after a positive flashback, I end up feeling a bit sad after, I think, because maybe I want that time back. Is that normal? Yeah, it's we get you. We know exactly what you're saying. A Lavender System, that triggered a panic last night, and we weren't expecting that. Yeah, plus there can also be somatic memories, touch sensation memories from it's like with us, we get them very strongly. We went into it before, we can't have anything, we don't wear watches, we don't wear jewelry, nothing around our wrists. We don't even like wearing socks and shoes most of the time. It's like if we're in the house, we're barefoot. Because that feeling of constriction around our ankles and around our wrists and anything around our mouth or around our throat, just those are all triggers for us, pretty heavy, triggers, which pull us right back into, the trauma and can easily trigger a flashback because we were restrained in many different ways when we were being brutalized and abused. So maybe you've got something similar lurking around there that could be causing those, because trigger warning. Generally, you will be being held down forcibly against your will, or other things like that. I mean, your brains can fill in the gaps there, but that is something to be aware of. It's like particularly the one for us is we get the startle reflex very bad. You good boy. You want to be a cat, Bob? Hmm? Meow, meow. No, 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 cat bomb. Cat bomb. Cat bomb. Mm. Yeah, yeah. I know. I know. Say hi to your adoring public. All right, there you go. And my shirt is furred. Where were we there? Meow. Let's see here. Caden saying somatic memories are my least fave. Yeah, they're terrible because you just can't wash it off or anything. Oh yeah, that's where we were at. The over the shoulder, somebody coming up from you from behind, or you'll be sucked into your own little bubble, and then all of a sudden somebody will talk to you from behind, or one of your family members will walk up, and you don't know they're there until all of a sudden they are, and then it's like, fight or flight kicks in, and you're like grabbing onto the counter, going trying desperately to recenter yourself because your fight or flight system just got triggered again, and you've got a fresh rush of adrenaline and cortisone skyrocketing your blood pressure up, and you immediately just go into that, oh my god, I'm about to be abused again, or at least we do. So yeah, somatic sucks. Somatic really sucks. We've had a great deal of difficulties working through those, and basically it's just one of these where we just kind of have to ignore it and push through because there's not much else that we can do about it. Let's see. Kaleidoscope's telling Blue Rose they did associate quite often on the job and had to quit work 5 years ago. Understand me so well, yeah. Kitty, yes, cat mom. See, I mean, we took a poll on that, so we had to give at least one obligatory cat bomb, right? For those of you who are just here for the cat bombs. Yeah, it's totally not showing live chat. It's showing us, but no live chat. All messages 12. Yeah, your butt, there's only 12. Show. Fine, we'll switch you to top messages. Maybe you'll like that better. Yes, I know we're persistent. Let's see. Blue Rose is saying the video talks about positive experiences trickling down in the system, which lead to fear responses seemingly out of nowhere. Example: receiving a compliment leads to fear because of trauma. Yeah, and we don't deal with compliments well. We immediately switch into self-deprecation mode, where it's like, oh well, yeah, but it's like our wife will say, oh, thank you for cooking dinner, honey, and we'll be like, yeah, well, don't thank us until after you've eaten it. It's like we didn't get this right or that right, or this didn't turn out the way. She's like, just take the compliment. And it's like, thank you, because it feels alien. It's like, what is this strange thing called positive feedback? There's got to be a catch here, right? I mean, you're giving us this compliment to catch us off guard, right? There's a shoe behind it, or we're gonna get in trouble or something, and you're just kind of leading us on, right? No matter just how safe your situation actually is as an adult, it's not logical. No. It's like, what is our wife going to do? Beat us up? It's like, well, I wouldn't put it past her to be able to. She would never actually do that, but I mean, she did kickboxing and stuff, so it's like if she wanted to cream our ass, she could. Uh, don't make your wife angry, guys. Just don't do it. Particularly with her being a teacher as well, so she knows how to wrangle, and she's got those tones of voices where it's like, sit down, and it's like, yes, ma'am. But yeah, absolutely, there, Blue Rose. Let's see. Hard dealing with a blow to our self-esteem and sense of worth. Yes, absolutely. And you just dead nailed. Hello, Clover. It's good to see you again. But yeah, you basically just nailed one of our biggest fears, and one of the biggest reasons that we've got hangups around the whole job is because And particularly when we got married for the first time and had kids, newborn kid, and we're getting the house and the land and everything and going good. And so much of a man's self-worth is, and women is too, where we're not counting you guys out, but particularly for men, and particularly for men raised in my generation and the ones before that, so much of your self-worth, both to yourself and to society, is based off of your ability to provide for your family. If you don't hold down a steady job and everything and be a good little corporate puppet, you are not as much of a man. You're just a weak, useless failure. So every time that we would get fired or quit before they fired us, there would be just this tremendous crushing sense of loss and of shame and of guilt. And just, I mean, we always expected our wife to just rail us up one side and down the other and leave us and just berate us, and that never happened, which was almost as bad as the actual feeling itself. I know that's kind of a sick way of thinking, but it's like, at least if she had, there would be that pressure release. But that's been one of our biggest fears, and also the fact that the last time that happened to us, the last time that we lost our job, was right before our wife got really ill. She was getting really ill, and she died shortly thereafter. And even though we were able to get a job through the state, basically taking care of her, because we had the medical background from being an EMT, to where we were able to give her in-home care, and we're actually paid by the state. So it's not like we lost a complete job, but that only paid so much. But that sense of guilt and just disappointment and just bottom of your stomach, gut level depression can be very hard to deal with. And that's one of the things that we're afraid of. We're afraid of, if we go out and we lose another job, we're going to have to face that again. And and now it's tied in with our first wife's death and all of the guilt and whatnot that came along with that, which we've processed through a lot of, but we'd be lying to say if we were over it completely. It's one of those things where they say, oh, it gets better with time. No, it doesn't. It gets easier to deal with, but you're forever going to have that hole in the middle of your chest where that person used to be. But it gets easier to bear, but it does not get easier with time. No, I can tell you that firsthand. So a lot of those same emotions and whatnot are now tied into that, and that whole sense of worth. So yeah, we're terrified right now that when we do go out and we get it, that we're going to fail somehow, that we're not going to be able to do it. And there's that humiliation of, if we do have to face that, then it's like, well, what is left for us? So how far do we have to go in order to get disability to understand our condition? It's like, do we even bother to file again? It's maddening. And this is all part of what's been swirling around inside of us for this past month, and we just really desperately wish, and what we've noticed is that we're forming a new cycle, or a new, either me as an ANP or a new ANP is forming, but there is definitely a paradigm shift underway in order to deal with us going back out and deal with that type of a thing. So no, you're not alone there either. We definitely understand. Let's see here. Yeah, so we were talking about Blue Rose. Yeah, absolutely. The blow to your self-esteem and sense of worth is terrible. It's very impactful, and it's tough to deal with. Clover, we said hello to you. Yes. Let's see. 420 Witch is saying that they can kind of relate. I mean, I'm so used to being told I'm ugly, stupid, etc. from childhood and teen years. When I get a compliment, I don't believe a word of the compliment. Yeah, exactly. Because when we weren't getting it at home, we were getting bullied mercilessly and viciously by all of the kids that we went to school with. Well, not all of them, but most of them. You know how they run in packs. So yeah, there's still all that you have to do. We never had a rest. We never had the only safe place that we had where we could let our guard down was at our grandparents for 2 weeks, 2 blessed weeks every summer. Yeah, and it's just, so that's, and we have a lot of repetitive dreams where we're over there. So it's like maybe we're trying to work out some of the crap in that environment I don't know if we're making any sense here. Anyway, let's see here. Sad Doggo saying, I think I'm getting better at that. I have someone in the system who's supporting me, but he realizes it takes time to get close. Also, laugh out loud at your wife creaming you. Yeah, well, I don't underestimate her. Caden saying, compliments were always a game of, do you mean it or am I supposed to infer that it's actually an insult because we're from in the South? Well, if they say, well, bless your little heart, or, something like that, that you've been insulted. But our wife is from the South as well. And she's like, if everybody tells you that, that's like the most deadly insult that a Southerner can give you. Let's see. Pia's saying, hello, just dropping in for a bit before you try to sleep. I like that. Try to sleep. Amen. But hi, Pia. It's good to see you. And thank you for your generosity on the coffees. It really does help. Thank you. Not required, but very much appreciated. Let's see. Kaleidoscope saying absolutely true. Unfortunately, many people measure your worth according to what job you are doing and not who you are, regardless of your job, if any. Yeah. And that's one of the reasons why it took us so long to do the paradigm shift from job out at job place to the whole gig economy and the what we do for Amazon, the delivery blocks, because that's technically like an Uber job or something like that. It's a gig job. And we were raised gig job. That's not a real job, no, you have to go out 9 to 5, or 8 to 5, and go to the office every day, because we did a lot of clerical work and retail work as well. Those were our two main focuses. That was hard for us to overcome. To you guys, it's more or less second nature. But there's been a huge paradigm shift in the whole workplace culture over that course of time when we've been out of it. Let's see. Sorry to hear about the job, Blue Rose. Yeah, absolutely. And we are terribly sorry to hear about that as well. Let's see. Anyone fighting disability definitely get a lawyer. Now, see, we actually got one of those where we don't get paid unless you get paid, and they were absolutely worthless. We got to the next to final appeal stage where we would have to have taken it in front of a 9-judge panel type of a thing. I don't know what it was, but yeah, absolutely. Let's see. Shit had a panic attack while at the optometrist due to the whole "you're to be seen and not heard and stay out of adult business." Yeah, because stay out of sight, keep your mouth shut. Children are meant to be seen and not heard. Don't bother me, kid. Yeah, we Gen Xers got a lot of that. We were the unwanted generation. They didn't want us. It was don't cry or I'll give you something to cry about. Just pick yourself up and brush her. Or in my day, things like that. And it gave us a very hideously negative self-image. But yeah, children are meant to be seen and not heard. Don't, I'll give you something to cry about, that kind of thing. Yeah. Sorry to see that it hasn't improved any over the years. Let's see. Clover saying, sorry I haven't been around in a few months. Landed in the hospital many times over the summer from bad mental health. Glad to be back. And don't apologize, Clover. You do you. You take care of yourself. That's the most important thing, is self-care. Yes, hello. Do you want to be a cat mom too? 2 in 1 live stream. This one's Chocho. Say hi, Chocho. Say hi, Chocho. Say hi. Yeah, that's as much as you're going to get out of him. That's the cat. Put me down, goddammit. Look. So yeah, Clover, don't worry about it. We're glad to see you, obviously, and we're glad that you're in better mental health now. But yeah, that's you've went through something that we're terrified to do, which is inpatient. But again, we don't overtly self-harm, so it's kind of like our psychiatrist is like, you want to check in another month or so? It's like, yeah, it's like. Let's see, Caden saying, oh, bless your heart, for sure. There's also, you're so special, or such a sweet child. Yes. Oh, well, bless your heart, you sweet summer child. That's another one. And it's like, oh, okay. And it's like, sounds nice, but totally isn't. 420 Witch was saying the only real safe space I had was my dad's with all the animals. But even then, the local kids from the street I lived on bullied me, or the theater company I belonged to. There were other people. Yeah. Disabled people, sorry. Yeah. Kids can be merciless, and we were bullied. We were bullied by the neighborhood kids. We were bullied by the kids in school. It's like there's this huge invisible target on your back that you can't see that says, pick on me, pick on me. Probably because we learned not to fight back, because we're being abused at home, and we learned that it's no good to fight back, to just stay put, shut, and quit. Stay quiet and endure it, and stay the hell away from people. It's part of that heightened emotional sensitivity. We're constantly on guard looking for the next shoe to drop or trying to minimize that. And so the best way is just avoidance. You avoid the bullies, which of course just encourages them more. Oh, hey, it looks like my tablet might actually be working now. Let's see here. So yeah, huge bullying. I'm curious, how many of you were bullied as a kid? Were you like that? Were you quiet? Did you stay to yourself in the corner? Did you just watch things, trying to make things not that, Did you hide from your bullies? We had a hiding spot. we actually had a tree up in the playground. In back of the playground, there was this big, we call it grass hill, because it was this gentle slope kind of hill. Maybe an acre's worth, and there were some pine trees off to the side. And there was this one in particular that we would run to at the beginning of recess, and then we would climb up it and stay there until the bell rings, and then we would come back. And if we were lucky, we could get we could avoid the bullies waiting for us and get back into class. Going back home was a whole other adventure. We had a whole other route for that to try to keep us away from them. Let's see. Lavender System saying, "Oh God, we hate, bless your heart." P is saying, "Sweet Summer Child" is pretty bad as well. Yeah. And we didn't know these things until our wife told them to us. We're like, "But that sounds so nice." She says, "Yeah, that's the point." Let's see here. Thanks, P, guys talking back. And then getting a whooping, and that damn line of "This hurts me more than it hurts you. Don't give me that garbage." Oh yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, it's that twisted logic. It's like, I'm doing this for your own good. It's like, no, you're not. You're doing it because you're an abusive son of a bitch. When you're not raping us, you're, anyway, sorry. Trigger warning. 2 kitties, yes, absolutely, brothers. "Stop crying or I'll give you something to cry about" was one you got a lot, yeah. Lavender System saying they were bullied relentlessly, and every time we tried to defend ourselves, we would get into trouble because it takes 2 to tango. BS. The one that we got was we were like that with our mother, but then our stepfather, or egg donor, sorry, but then our stepfather was one of these rah rah, it's like gotta fight back type of thing. So there was one of we were getting bullied and bullied and bullied, and there was this one day when all of a sudden he just decided he was going to teach us to fight back, and he started yelling at us and shoving us, and just we remember this day just as clearly as if it had happened yesterday. We were in their master bedroom, and he just kept pushing at us and hitting us and showed, "Come on, hit me back." And it's like, oh yeah, here's our abuser, our main abuser telling us go ahead and hit us back, when it's like, yeah, we wouldn't dare, because we're going to be punished for it later. You're punishing us now. This is a trap. You're telling us this. And it was one of these where he was doing us good by pushing us to the limit to make us fight back, because he was concerned that we were just going to be bullied and weak and a little agate, that word. Odd, because he didn't have any trouble, screwing us. So yeah, double standards for sure. But we actually did break. We're like, we're going to get in trouble. No, you won't. It's like, hit me. So yeah, finally we did haul off. I think it was Mimi who just finally said, and hauled off and cracked him one across the jaw, snapped his head back, and gave him a big, I think damn near dislocated his jaw. Now, we're pretty sure that was the last time that he ever actually disciplined, quote unquote, us. So he did. That was the one time when we actually did get to lay a hand on this son of a bitch, and we made it count for everything that we possibly could. Or Mimi did. Yeah, okay, Mimi saying, "Yeah, that was me." She just did the raise the hand thing in the background. So yeah, for sure. Let's see here. PA Pension, hand up on being bullied for 8 years. Only thankful there was no social media then. I hid in books. Yeah, same thing. The library was another one of our hiding places all the way through high school. I cannot remember junior high. Junior high is a complete and utter blank. In our mind, we go from elementary, 6th grade, and then all of a sudden we are in high school with maybe 3 memories from 2 years of junior high. It's gone, guys. It's a blank. Of course, now we know why, but yeah, Like you, Pia, we hid in the library and did books. Those were our escapes. Those were the worlds that we could go. That and the creek that went by our house outside of the fence. We would just go out and play in the creek, hide in the creek until dinner time. And if we could avoid him, then we would, go right back out after dinner until it was dark and the streetlights came on. And then we went in and tried to avoid him and went to bed. And we couldn't avoid him all the time. But anyway, let's see. So yeah, Pia for sure with the books. Caden, bullied at school. Yes, there was no hiding though. We stayed out of the way as much as possible, but we weren't allowed to get away. Yeah, I hear you, because they would tag team you. Let's see, we heard that one too, that one alt too, until we stopped crying, and then we're mad because some of us needed to cry. Yeah, crying was not something that we were allowed to do. Let's see, Clover saying they were bullied but can't speak to what we did at the time as I have amnesia for it. Don't dig. Sad doggo, the only time I remember being bullied, our brother scared the piss out of them. Probably didn't happen again after that. We're glad that at least you had somebody in there pitching for you. We didn't have we only had the one sister, and she was, much younger than us. She was born when we were 7. So there's a 7-year gap there. Which just goes to tell me just how long he was abusing. Okay, but we're just going to avert that train of thought. Okay, let's see here. 420 Witch, bullied throughout their young childhood and teens from school peers as well. Neighbor kids right up till I was 26 and finished a college course, and still hear strangers making comments about me at times. That sucks. We're sorry, 420 Witch. 5 Pieces of 9 here finally. Hello, I hope you're home safe and that you weren't trying to listen to the live stream on the drive like you said. Live stream can wait. Your safety is paramount. Let's see. Everybody's saying hello to 5. Let's see. 420 didn't have anywhere to hide. The theater company I mentioned earlier, I could go and demask and take the armor off. With us, it was masks, or at least that's how we saw it. Let's see here. Hoping that everyone is doing the best they can with what they have. Doing our bestest. Let's see. The airport went well. Everybody's saying hello. Interesting drivers. Let's see, Sigil. Hello, Sigil. I hit online since I was 12. Yeah, unfortunately, we didn't have the internet or social media or anything. It was direct. If you set foot outside of your door there, they'd be camping out waiting to see if you came out, and then they would immediately bully you. Or the worst part would be when it's like, oh, hey, we're playing football and we need one more person, and which would then promptly turn into a game of forgive us, this was the term that they used, that was used at the time, of smear the queer, and we were the queer, which was basically just you run and we're going to see how many times we can whack you with this ball and tackle you and hold you down and then beat you. So yeah, not a lot of fun there. So yeah, fortunately we missed the online portion of it, but we got a lot of it. It was much more focused, I guess is the word that we're looking for. And you couldn't get away. We were getting at the house. We were getting it the minute that we stepped out of the house, unless we managed to ditch them. And this was another reason why we would go and play in the creek so much. And we had hiding places all over. Trees are great hiding places. Let's see here. Blue Rose, good job, Mimi. Yeah, there's something else that she did. Yeah, we won't relate that one because we would definitely need a huge trigger warning on that particular memory. But yeah, she definitely acted as a protector for us at that point in time. But she was the bad girl, and so she was not at all shy about finally be careful what you wish for, because you might just get it type of a thing. Anyway, let's see. Caden, our teachers would tell us we needed to be around the other students, but couldn't stop other students picking on us. That sounds familiar. Don't go down the rabbit hole. It's a trap. The brain offers a memory or thought, and it's a trap. Yeah, exactly. Admiral Akbar there. Lavender system. The thing we hate about therapy is it has a tendency to cause massive increase in dissociative amnesia, and we start losing like 8 hours here, 12 hours there, which leads to progress, but sucks. Yeah, we feel you. Like I said, we lost Monday. I don't remember Monday. I think that was the day that our wife came home, and she had such a bad day. She came into the door and just more or less threw ourselves into our arms and just sobbed uncontrollably, which actually we found very, it's like, oh, she's trusting us to comfort her and be there for her emotionally, because she's the strong woman, I mean, so she seems pretty unflappable, and there's not much that gets to her, but the teaching is just, she's overworked, and it's terrible. It's really bad. Being a teacher is a very, very tough gig. And she keeps saying, this is it. This is my last year. She says this every year, but it's like, we kind of freeze, because it's like, not sure what we're supposed to say to this, and and then we say what we need to say, which is, we will support whatever decision you make, because we will. We're a team. We're in this together. She supported us. We will support her no matter what. We'll make do. It's what it's what systems and people do. We survive. We will do whatever it needs to be done in order to survive that type of a situation. But we support her, and if that's what she wants to do, she'll have our support on that. But she is a good teacher. She's very hypercritical of herself. It's like she just got her evaluation recently, because they'll come into the classroom, the principal and a couple of other observers, and observe her doing the class. And she has IEPs and special education kids in her class. She's got like 5 of them, and they bounce off of each other. There's this one girl who just basically starts crap between the students and then stands back and watches the fray with a smile. So she's had to deal with that. So she's got instigators in her classroom. She has kids that throw furniture, kids that can't sit still and will tumble about the room. And she's teaching a 3rd and 4th grade combined class, the advanced 3rd graders and the 4th graders that are under par. So she not only has to deal with all that, but she works to get the 2 grade levels to work together as much as possible. But she had her evaluation the other day, and every time she has her evaluation, she's like, oh my God, this happened, and it was just absolutely terrible. And the principal was right there to see us, and we're going, honey, it's going to be okay. You are always hypercritical of yourself. And sure enough, she brought back the results she got her evaluation back, and it was a perfect score. Perfect score, with some very glowing comments from the principal and from the I think it was just the principal this time around, but you could not have had a better review. And we're like, see, honey, you were always so hypercritical on yourself. And she's like, well, I think it might have had something to do with me. I went into her office and broke down into tears and tell her that, I may not be coming back next year. And it's like, no, you are one of the best teachers that we have. But if she does decide to do that, then we will support her. We support her no matter what she's going to do. It's like we do what little we can to help with the schoolwork. It's like we'll help grade papers, if we can. There's not a lot of that because it needs to be physically entered into the computer, and she's the only one with the access. But the poor thing just runs herself ragged. And I'm not sure if what we had a point there, but anyway, yeah, our wife, great woman, really, on so many different levels. We are so lucky. Let's see here. Let's see, 420, which the theater company I mentioned is called the Chicken Shed Theater Company. And it's a place for abled and differently abled people of all walks of life and abilities. And it's one of the very few places I can truly just be me with no mask, no armor, just me, and no one makes fun, no one judges. Yeah, now here's another thing. How many of you were theater kids that gravitated towards that? Because we were music and theater kids, kind of as a also hiding thing. We're just kind of curious, unofficial survey. Raise your hand in the chat or let us know if you were a theater kid as well and found shelter and acceptance in that community, or at least less than the other communities where you were bullied mercilessly. Curious to see if there's a correlation there. Let's see here. Caden was saying we were very happily unaware of certain types of trauma until we tried trauma therapy, and now we have to live with the memories it dragged out. Sounds like a really cool theater company. Yeah, Caden, this is why we said on several of our live streams and why our trauma therapist told us, don't go digging. Don't poke the bear. Don't poke the hornet's nest, because this stuff is going to come out all on its own. And it's tough because there's this need to want to know in exquisite detail every single last thing that happened to you, and you have to fight against that, because if you go poking at it and if you go into a deep dive, well, you know what happens. You become unstable, and it's too potent. The amygdala, believe it or not, knows exactly what it's doing and will unlock them in the increments that you need in order to deal with it. And it's a tough row to hoe, that's for sure. But yeah, this is why it's important not to go digging into your trauma, guys. So yeah, Caden, we feel you. Let's see. 420 Witch is saying that a lot of her poetry is about my mask and or armor. Blue Rose, we hope Mrs. Infinity System is okay. She's ups and downs. I mean, it's a hideously stressful job, and she gets like no time. It's like we maybe see her 15 minutes out of the day when she's, because, you know, it doesn't stop when she leaves. She's got all the work that she has to do at home as well. And they have no time, and all of the teachers are severely overloaded right now. So we do the best that we can to support her. But she's just simply amazing. The amount of crap that she deals with, and the amount of crap that she puts up with, is just nothing short of staggering. But she's also a very strong individual, very strong. Let's see. 420 P is saying, I write too. Hope it helps you at least a little. We do write from time to time as well, but not so much. I think it's Percival who writes the poetry. Let's see. Best wishes to Miss IS. Yes, thank you, Pia. Sigil saying, I'm glad y'all could be there for her. And yeah, the therapy stuff leads to progress, but it's far from comfortable. We tend to need a lot of sleep during those days. Yeah, this past month we have been sleeping more than normal. I mean, normal for us is maybe 4 or 5 hours if we're lucky, but we've just been so exhausted because we're burning through all the mental energy, and we kind of feel bad that we haven't been able to turn that energy towards doing the content. Unfortunately, like with the theory of structural dissociation episode, went back to check if Data had done his bullet points yet, only to find that he had not actually done that yet. And that just goes to tell you, when Data, hasn't gotten the job done, or it hasn't happened yet, that tells you just how stressed out that we are as a system. If he goes off kilter, because normally he's the steadying influence at the center of everything, so I'm about halfway done with the explanatory graphics. I'm up to the point where the trauma impacts the brain and splits into the EPs and the ANPs. But he's promised that he's going to go through the treaties that we're working off of, which was Vander Kolk and Vander Hartz, and I think there were 4 others submitted the paper. This was back in 1990, I think. We'll link to it in the episode, but he has to go through and weed this out, because he's the only one that can, and turn it into something that's understandable. Because this one is important, because this is like the fundamental underpinning of DID. Now, it's not the only theory out there, but it is the theory that has been backed up by hard science evidence in the meantime. The MRI scans and the other progress that they've made towards identifying where exactly the memories are stored by the amygdala, the chemical process behind that, storing in the posterior medial cortex. The mechanisms that they had, observed, or I don't want to say guessed at, they had postulated back then, as it turns out, now have that scientific backing. So it's very important for us to get this one right. All of the T's have to be crossed, all the I's have to be dotted, because it's going to be another one of our, okay, here, let's do a deep dive. This is exactly how we're taking it from, okay, you're a baby and you're a bundle of nerves, and all the way from there up through, the splitting of the EPs and the ANPs, the differentiation between them, trauma and the various levels, how it impacts different levels, from PTSD all the way down to DID, and how those change. Because and particularly we want to get this right, because in the past we have made a statement on several of our videos that we didn't really think about the ramifications of, which was essentially that trauma is required to have DID, period. You can't have DID without trauma. You may have PTSD, CPTSD, OSDD, etc. And one of our readers viewers called us out on that in the comment, and they're like, this makes it seem like trauma is not required to have, OSDD or the others. And it's like, oh shit, you're absolutely right. We weren't thinking about it that way, but that is exactly how we were presenting it, and we did it, several times. And so that's another one of things. Like it's a mea culpa of we didn't explain it as well as we should have. Generally, it's when we're talking about endogenic trauma and endogenic DID systems, which is not a thing. Sorry, it's not a thing. Science says otherwise. But that's generally where we tied that statement is. So we are not only stating a mea culpa on that, but we're going to we want to make sure that we've got the whole thing laid out properly to give the actual facts and nail that down to exactly what we meant. So that's why it's important. That's why it's taking a little bit longer, and plus because we're dealing with everything else in the meantime. It's kind of unfortunate because yesterday Rosemary had cleaned the kitchen and was getting ready to film because we had one of those rare times when everybody was out of the house except us. We were expecting our wife to be back much later than she actually showed up because the previous day she didn't get back until 8 because she was doing parent-teacher conferences. But right when Rosemary was about to switch in and we were about to do the filming, we'd just gotten done with the cleaning when wife came home, and then it's like, oh hell, we're going to have to postpone again because Rosemary went boop, 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 right back inside. So it's like, you're killing me here. But by Christmas time, we'll definitely have her. We'll have the theory of structural dissociation, and we will have at least one little stories, depending upon how the whole work situation gets out. We're trying to get our nose back to the grindstone. Because, believe it or not, creating the content is a form of therapy for us. Okay, so let's see here. Back to the chat log here. Sigil is saying, glad y'all could be there for her. And yeah, okay, yeah, we already read that comment. We do our best to be there for her, yes. 420 Witch is telling Pia, don't write as much as they used to. Had a few of my diaries and poem journals stolen and always worried that it will happen again. Yeah, we kept a diary when we were about 8 to 9, and Egg Donor found it one day and just ripped us upside one side and down the other, just complete invasion of privacy. And that was the last time that we ever kept a journal until just after we were diagnosed, as a matter of fact. We did some writing in between there, both fiction and poetry. But let's see here. Sounds like the evaluation period is causing a trauma response in us. Yeah. Caden, I did tech theater because I had the kind of body images that didn't let me function on stage and too autistic for acting at the time. Hey, there's nothing wrong with doing the tech into theater. That's a job in and of itself. I know, being the editor-in-chief and photographer for this channel, so don't limit your, don't put yourself down there, Caden. Let's see, 5 pieces of 9. Anyone know about ghost altars? Any experience with that? No, not on this end. It sounds fascinating. You'll have to share more with that. Nope. Haven't even heard about that. Let's see here. Clover saying, who didn't act to save my life? Took a class once and the teacher told me I suck at acting. He was my favorite teacher. One of these where I'm going to tell you the truth, but I'm going to do it in the nicest possible way because I actually care about you. Yeah, those teachers are few and far in between. We had a couple. There was one teacher that we had, just off on a side story here. This was in our first year of high school as a freshman. And or was it something? I can't remember. Anyway, it was the first year that we had gotten into high school before the divorce and the moving and the huge family went thing when we were kids. But anyway, we went in, and our science teacher, we had just done like 2 weeks hardcore on cellular biology and biochemistry and stuff like that. And he was like, okay, it's like we got our test coming up, and this was right before Thanksgiving break. And he's like, we're going to have the test the day before break on the Friday. And, so we go into the room, and he has 2 piles of paper. And there were about 40 of us in the classroom. He's got 2 piles of paper on his desk test that he had made up. And he said, okay, I've got a choice for you guys. I've prepared 2 different versions of the test. I'm not going to tell you which ones are which, but you can take one or the other, so that this is where it's going to be. Those who volunteer to take this test, hold up your hands. And we were like, he was like, and no matter which test you choose, you cannot tell the other students about it. Just follow the directions on the test and don't say a word. And don't say a word when you're outside the class, because I'm doing this with all of my classes and I don't want things contaminated. So me and my best friend, we were the only ones who raised our hands for the alternate test. So he's like, okay, you two head over there on the lab tables and take the test. Remember what I told you? We get over there, okay, and instead of this huge, long, like 20-page test on all of the biochemistry and the cellular biology that we had been studying so hard on, it's this stupid, simple test on Thanksgiving. I mean, like, what is the bird that's eaten most commonly on Thanksgiving? Turkey, just stuff like this. And that was the kind of teacher that he was. And that test, that stupid joke test, counted just the same as the actual grade. It was, he later made sure that we knew our stuff. It wasn't a freebie, but it was a social experiment that he was conducting to see who would take that leap into the unknown, who would be able to say, it's like, okay, well, I know this, but this test could be 100% harder. Are you willing to roll the dice? So yeah, that was one of our memories of him. He was a great teacher. Can't remember his name, but we remember that day crystal clear. But he really knew how to reach the students. So a little bit sidetracked there. Let's see here. So yeah, we had our favorite teacher there, Clover. Let's see, 420 saying, I feel more comfortable on stage than I do in real life. I can be someone else while at the same time being me. Theater's definitely something I can escape into. Lavender System, music and theater definitely only had one bully in music and theater classes, so a total of 2, but a lot less than other classes and ROTC as well. Yeah, a lot of the bullies do not go to music or theater. Yeah, so it's kind of a safe haven there. Let's see here. P assigning, I wrote for theater and it's still one of my safe places to visit. My head goes quiet. Blue Rose, no theater here, but very much the artsy kid. Theater really isn't a thing here in school. That's unfortunate. Caden saying, our therapist had asked about something and then we said how we felt it was. And she was like, that's not bad. And our entire brain revolted and gave more info. Sorry, I know we're laughing, but we're laughing because we're right there with you. The brain is so whack. Ooh, that's tangy. Lemonade Capri Suns, and they're just really, really tart. Which isn't bad, don't get me wrong, but it's one of those where it grabs your tongue and goes, ah! Okay, let's see here. 420 Widget Caden, no matter your autism, chicken shit would have helped and encouraged you to sing and dance and everything. Let's see. Blue Rose is saying, Fat 5, that they have a ghost in the system. 420 Witch, I get the same rush from watching theater as I do performing in theater. Yeah. And all of our kids, ironically, all 4 of them were theater kids. So we would actually joke with the director, sorry, you're on the last one now. You don't have any more of more of our kids to go through. And he's like, ugh. But yeah, he actually got the whole family through. Or the kids, anyway. Let's see. Lavender System saying, not a ghost, but a sentient cloud of smoke that is not emotionless, just not emotional, and uses the true and false vocal cords when they speak. Also been labeled possessed in places. I'm not sure what that word means. Anyway, fascinating. Let's see. Sad Doggo, this may sound pessimistic, but I feel like our system is already giving a 5-star acting performance on a daily basis. No, you are. It's we all are, all of our systems, because it's a covert disorder, because it's hidden. That's the whole essence of it. It keeps us safe by hiding and separating us from the traumatic things. So yeah, that's a perfectly valid point there. Blue Rose, endogenic or something like that. What does that mean? These are the folks that purport that you do not have to have severe trauma, physical trauma, in order to be a DID system. It can be caused. Trauma can be anything from just having a bad day to somebody calls you a nasty name. It's their definition of trauma is it's not trauma, okay? And this is one of these where it's like there are those who believe it and there are those who don't. And this was why we were kind of glad that the McLean lecture brought that whole thing out into the open, because people get really touchy about it. There are several major creators who have been pushing that agenda, and we know exactly where it's coming from and where they're getting it from, but it's not based on hard science and fact the way that the theory of structural dissociation is. It's one of these where it's like, oh, everybody gets an award, everybody can have DID. It's like, no, somebody yelling at you is not going to cause a split. Seeing a bad comment on YouTube or whatever social media, or having your thoughts questioned, is not going to cause a split. You're not going to get a new little from that or something. It's completely and utterly unscientifically based. Sorry, that's the way it works. In order to have dissociative conditions, you have to have the trauma, like we just went over with. It starts at PTSD and goes all the way down. The only difference is the intensity, the frequency, and the age range. Anybody can have PTSD from one terrible, like a huge car crash. You can have PTSD from that. CPTSD is where you have numerous instances, numerous traumas that will cause complex PTSD. And then underneath that, you start in with the splitting between the emotional part and the EPs and the ANPs, and the time locking, where the amygdala is locking it away. And in OSDD and the ones on the secondary level, it's there's numerous EPs, but one ANP. We're paraphrasing, don't quote us right now. Whereas with DID, it's numerous of both. So but it has to be repeated severe forms of trauma over the course of time for DID. But so it has to be intense. The endogenics are saying, oh no, you can get it just from this. This can be, oh my, I got a bad comment. People are hating on me. That's going to cause me to split into 3 new ANPs and this and that and the other thing. It's like, we're sorry, but that's not how it works. So that's the brief explanation of the endogenic versus traumagenic system thing. And don't get us wrong, if those who decide to believe that / delude themselves into believing that, whatever works for you, honey. We prefer to have the scientific basis and facts to use as our stepping stone, and that concrete foundation underneath us to understand this already insanely complex condition. These are a lot of people who want to say, oh, DID isn't rare, 1% is actually blah, blah, blah. It's like, why are you minimizing this? Why are you de-emphasizing this? And just purely on a personal level, it's like it's a whole minimization of the condition. And unfortunately, a lot of this has went along with what McLean termed as imitative DID. We're not saying that everybody out there has it. We know that a lot of people can't get an actual diagnosis, but okay. We're retreading ground that we've already covered, but that's your basic explanation of endogenic versus traumagenic. There's a huge Grand Canyon-sized gap between the two. And we have always been traumagenic. That's what it's at. We are heavily traumagenic, and that's where it's at. Anyway. So let's see. Let's see. Daft Woolley, welcome. Hey, how you guys doing? Just saw you live. A little discombobulated today, but that's where it is. Just watch the front part of the stream. We had some really bizarro type dreams, and we've been talking about dreams and emotional states and things like that. So a lot of interesting stuff. Let's see here. But good to see you, Daft. Let's see. Blue Rose at 5. Ghost Girl has the memory of dying. She was stuck in the moment after chat, so dead, but still there. She appears as a ghost, like see-through. It's taken a lot of therapy to get her unstuck, but she is a ghosty girl, doesn't switch out, only exists inside. Fascinating. That's interesting, Blue Rose. Sea Bunny System. Hello, Sea Bunny System. Good to see you. Thanks for joining in. Let's see here. Lavender Sisters saying at Blue Rose, smoke was our death altar as well. Any particular question, feel free to ask. That is a fascinating subject, guys. Thanks for bringing that up. We'll have to do a little more reading on that. 5 Pieces of 9 at Blue Rose, thank you so very much. About the same for us. They are a result of the body being choked into subconsciousness, in consciousness, and for the altar they died. Yeah. We were choked too. Yeah, as his hand immediately goes to his throat. Yeah, we were also choked into unconsciousness in the process of being abused. That was a frequent thing with the mommies and daddies. So yeah, 5, as usual, we've got a lot of similar experiences there. Yeah, anyway, moving right along. Just became aware last week with Surety, so there's that. Yeah, that was her experience as well. There's a causality, there's a connection there. We're going to have to do more research on that. So thanks for dropping your experiences in the comment section. Let's see, Caden's also saying that they have a ghost altar as well. Sorry, like, no problem. Answer when you can. Yeah, it's difficult to encounter in your system. Caden saying, got to head out, dinner time with a kid. Have a great night, Caden. Thanks for coming in and sharing your experiences. Hope you have a good night. Be well. Bye, everybody. Saying goodbye to Caden, I think. Okay, let's see here. Bye, Caden. Hope you have a good month. Sorry, the tablet has finally... It's working sometimes, but it's still slow in the chat. So I have to lean forward here. Caden, thanks for the input. Sea Bunny System, preach. I assume you're talking about our rant on endogenics. You do best and be well. Yes, thanks for explaining. Didn't know there were people believing this. Yeah, unfortunately, and that narrative is coming out of a very specific group of professionals that are based there in the UK. And basically, you've got Vanderhart and Vanderkolk on the one side, and the folks who are with the TOSD, Theory of Structural Dissociation. And on the other side, you've got people pushing their own little personal feel good, can't have DID, or you can have DID without trauma side on the other. And that's all that we're going to say about that. But yeah, unfortunately, and this is because this narrative, this agenda is being pushed out there, and unfortunately there's a lot of impressionable young people who are picking up on this from the creators who are pushing this, and it just muddies the water really bad, because as you guys know, we like to stick to the facts, and the facts are the one that we need something as systems that we can base this on. So much of this condition is already nebulous as it is. You don't need to be having conflicting narratives going on as to whether or not, a bad comment can make you split. It doesn't work that way, guys. That's not what the science says. That's not what it just doesn't work that way. But unfortunately, people's private agendas and professional agendas have gotten in the way of that. That's about all that we can safely say about that without naming names, which we don't do, but we do pay attention. So yeah, Blue Rose, that's the nutshell. Okay, yeah, this is cropped out. Okay, Sigil saying we were too self-conscious for theater, but we were art kids. If you liked acting as themselves online, still not sure if they influenced OC creation or if a brain-based alters on OCs, but it's theaterish. It seems like it's a good mechanism for systems and trauma victims to creatively express themselves, or just express themselves, period, where they can't. I wonder, I wouldn't be surprised if there's a lot of method actors who use that same thing. Method acting is where the actor literally tries to become the part that he's trying to play. All of the great actors can do this. Like, Joaquin Phoenix goes to mind, or I'm sorry, was it Joaquin or River Phoenix? Heath Ledger. One of them, I can't remember. I think it was Heath Ledger who played the Joker in The Dark Knight Rises and got so into the role that it severely impacted his mental health. But yeah, that kind of puts a new slant on that. Let's see here. Daft Wooly only met one system that claimed to be endogenic, and let's say For as non-traumatic system, they sure showed a shit ton of signs of trauma, but that is for them to figure out on their own pace. Yeah, exactly. And don't get us wrong, we're not saying that they don't have trauma. It's just that the theory of structural dissociation is very specific. There are very specific criteria for each level, and DID is the one that has the most criteria and the most that's difficult to reach. So it's not that we're not invalidating trauma. We're just saying that it doesn't fit within the bounds of of what the science says. Let's see here. For a while, I was thinking, and we know that saying this is not going to make us popular in all quarters, but we're not here for that. We're not here for a popularity contest. So if that bugs you guys, for those of you who are new to the channel, feel free. You have the right to here we go with the rules for the live stream in the channel. You have the right to your own opinion. You have the right to express your opinion. You do not have the right to inflict it on other people. Don't troll, don't stir the pot, don't post porn links, and we will leave your comments up, even and especially if they disagree with ours. You can ask our longtime viewers. We have maintained this from the very start of the channel. The only way that we will delete a comment is if it violates any of those 5 rules there, basically. And we have been on the internet a very long time, and we have no compunction whatsoever about banning people who break those rules. We've never had any. Well, okay, we've had like 3 people who broke those rules, but it was part of a flying monkey attack. So there it is. So there's that. Let's see. For a while, 420 Witch is saying, for a while I was thinking of doing training and courses to be a drama therapist, using theater and drama as a form of therapy. That is a great idea. I think that you should probably pursue that some more if you can, if that's something that you're interested in. It's amazing how many of us who were abused advocate and work in those professions to help others, because we have that empathy. We can understand. And we don't want anybody else to go through or feel what we did. Cat walks across the tripod and shakes the screen. Let's see here. Sea Bunny System. It is so refreshing hearing a system speak so honestly and matter of fact about endogenic systems. These so-called system safe spaces online aren't safe spaces for actual traumagenic system. Yes, Sea Bunny System, you pretty much hit the nail on the head. Sigil System is saying, agreed, Daft. If an endo system isn't ready to touch that part of their healing, it's no one's business to risk getting them back into trauma brain. Yeah, that makes sense. The whole problem with Lavender System is saying the whole problem with endogenic is the whole attention-seeking nature of it rather than mental health. The only thing we feel bad for them is they feel the need for that level of attention, but other than that, yeah. And there's nothing wrong with wanting to feel like you belong to something, that to have those puzzle pieces make sense. We're not saying that there's not something wrong there, that they don't have trauma. It's just that they don't have enough, severe enough, during the particular age range for DID. DID is very specific, heavy, repeated trauma from the ages of birth to about 9 years old, when the ego states, which we'll be getting into in our episode, congeal to form a coherent personality, the personality of the child, which then goes on to develop into the adult personality over the source of time and finishes that process at about the age of 22. But if you don't have that repeated severe trauma between those age ranges, you don't have DID. That's just how it is. Sorry, this is something that we are passionate about and have been from the beginning, but it's a very sticky issue, which is why when McLean did the lecture, and if you guys have not seen the McLean Hospital lecture, it's called The Rise of Social Media and Imitative DID. We did our reaction episode on it. The link to the video is actually in the description. We encourage you guys to go watch it, particularly if you've heard about it on other channels or heard about it online, and it's, oh my God, they did this and that and the other thing. And our main criticism of it is they should have sought permission to use the content of the various creators that they showcased as examples of imitative DID. We're not saying the systems were or not. We're just saying that McLean should have sought permission to use that content. Did they legally have to? No, because once you put something out on the internet, it's there forever and it's free game, unless it's like copyrighted material. But a vlog or something like that, or a Twitch or a tweet or anything like that, sorry, it's free game. Anybody can pull it up and use it, basically. So that's what they did. They maybe should not have, but yeah, if you haven't seen the McLean lecture, It's worth watching to find out exactly what he's saying. And at the end of the damn thing, he does say, now there may be a completely separate category somewhere between OSDD and within the structural scale that will later be rolled into the categorization. But he's saying, we don't have enough data at this point in time. We're not ruling it out, but we don't see it right now. So yeah, that's one of those things. But yeah, we hear you, Lavender System, for sure. Let's see, Sigil's saying, I also rarely pay attention to TikTok and assume that's where the worst endo stuff happens, so I don't know shit beyond not my circus. Yeah, we're not on TikTok. We refuse to use Twitter anymore because Elon Musk is not a nice person. And not when you let pedo apologists and fascists and racists and, anti-LGBT people back on there to spew their shit. No. So actually, we're going to be within the next couple weeks or so removing our Twitter links. We've stopped posting over there, although all we ever did posting over there was just our episodes. Hey, we've uploaded this. We were never really a part of that culture. We're not part of the online chat type culture because we just don't have the time. And it's not really our interest at all. We're very specialized, in that type of, and what we need to do. We have to marshal our energy very carefully. But we do kind of keep our thumb on the pulse of the stuff that happens out there because there is some overlap. And yeah, unfortunately, it's sad to say that there is a lot of misinformation out there. So yeah, but we get you. Also don't know shit beyond not my circus. Yeah, we feel you, Sigil. We feel you. Let's see, but yeah, TikTok apparently is the most egregious example right now of the imitative DID or endogenic crow. Let's see, 420 Witch. Heath Ledger was an amazing method actor. He had mental health issues before being Joker, but that part made it worse. Yeah, that's what we were remembering. Let's see, Sigil saying, why am I just realizing Heath probably method acted? Just realizing Heath probably method acted for more than Joker. Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Let's see. He did when he method acted a lot, as did actors like Sir Anthony Hopkins. Oh, that dude, seriously. Great actor. Let's see. Sad Doggo, lost signals, so I might have missed some things, but I wanted to say I do feel like if you want to take the trauma out of it, you would have to redefine what an alter is. Yeah, exactly. And that's where the hard science comes in, because the hard science says fight or flight kicks in, amygdala goes, can't deal with this, too traumatic, needs to be filed away, and we're going to throw that amnesic barrier up. But again, that's because this trauma has to be severe enough to do that. You can't have dissociation without trauma. Sorry, it's like saying that it's like saying your alphabet and saying, oh, well, I'm just going to discard the letters B, C, and D, and from now on, this is the only alphabet that we have. Well, no, that's not the alphabet without those letters. So yeah, let's see. Daft saying no reason to apologize. The lack of general education on mental health issues makes you mad too. And that's why we have always tried to be very careful to say, okay, we are not mental health professionals. We don't have a degree. We do study, we read these things, and we share with you what we learn from accredited sources. If any of you have looked at some of the links that we've posted on our explanatory videos, this is some long-haired type college level stuff that data can somehow pull out, and make it understandable. But yeah, keep that in mind. We're not experts. Always consult a mental health professional. Don't just take our word for it. Do your own research. Do your own digging. Let's see. Lavender System tried to watch the McLean video, but it wouldn't load past the first few minutes. We couldn't watch it either. We will see if we can find a more reliable source for that and post the link on that page. Let's see here. Wasn't the McLean Hospital the hospital depicted in the movie Girl Interrupted? Yes, as a matter of fact, it was. And we didn't know that, and we actually went and watched Girl Interrupted after that, just to see exactly what the environs and whatnot were like. And obviously, the movie is not representative of the treatments that they're providing now, but still, it was an interesting fact. But yeah, good catch there, 420 Witch. Let's see, Sigil. There was good info in the McLean vid, but the presentation using real diagnose systems as what is fake was definitely a choice. Yeah, again, that's on McLean and more on, I can't remember the name of the doctor who gave it off the top of our heads. But yeah, that's like I said, we have a few criticisms of it, and that's basically the main ones. They should not have been so specific without the creator's permission. It's like, for example, we know that Pixie Locks, when he goes into the buying the cake and throwing the party thing, and initially we weren't aware of the background as well, but after being, I don't want to say called out on it, but encouraged to explore that further. Pixie Locks, she is diagnosed and whatnot, and the whole thing be about the cake. There is a lot of context that needed to go into it, and once we understood that context and were given that context, we understood, and it's like, okay, yeah, that makes sense here. So yes, there were some poor choices that he made there, but there were also some good representations as well. But again, he says, I can't tell whether or not I can't diagnose off of what I'm showing you. So yeah, he threw the caveats in there. It's not a perfect lecture, but it does get the point across and give the good basics of what he is concerned with what the psychiatric professionals are concerned with, and seeing this rise, which is just basically muddying the water. So yeah, well, we hear you, Sage Legion. Let's see. Daft Woolly saying, speaking of categorization, do you think polyfragmented systems should be their own category of DID? Because the more I learn about them, the more I lean in that direction. That's a good question, because we're polyfrag as well. I think as the science, personal opinion time, we think that as the science goes farther along, the data builds up, and the field progressive. Now, keep in mind, this is psychiatry and psychiatry. It's not a cut and dried. This is the be all end all. It's a cumulative thing, and some things may change, some things may alter. That's a tough question. Part of us leans towards, that polyfrag systems would sit underneath, even a lower, deeper than just regular DID. But it's kind of like, where do you split the hair, and what is entitled in that? But just up until recently, DID has still been, and still kind of is, a very controversial subject in the psychiatric community. So there's a lot of stigma there professionally that they're trying to overcome from their colleagues as well. So I think I would take a guess to say that there may eventually be a further classification. If so, that's good. But then there's also the other side that says DID is DID. It's our therapist tried to explain this to us once. Trauma is trauma is trauma. And this was when we were in the I want to know everything that happened to us down to the nth detail. She was like, what does it really matter? And we were like, well, of course it matters. And we didn't get it until much later that, you can know all the details, but it's still trauma. Trauma is trauma is trauma is trauma. And I think that this is the same thing. DID is DID as DID. Is there really that need for a special categorization? Is it really going to do any good? If it does to help diagnose folks, then yeah, absolutely, all for it. But otherwise, it's just kind of one of these where it's like, don't know, can't quite say for sure. Hope that answers your question. But yeah, as a polyfrag, we understand your feelings, and don't know. We'll have to see. I think we're about due for DISM number 6 to come out before long. Let's see. Blue Rose saying, we love that you always post the links to the papers and such. That's called creator responsibility. If we're quoting something, we should give you. This is just basic academic sources. This is what we were taught when we were in school. It's like if you're doing a paper, you give your introduction, 3 data points with 3 data points of each for those, and then you give your conclusion, and then you put your citations at the end of the paper so that people can see where you're drawing from. That's where we were. That's the way we were taught, so we follow that. But yeah, we want to give you guys as accurate information, as accurately sourced as we could. Yeah, we're a small channel, but we're trying to give you guys the best of what we've found out and try to make it help to make sense for you and for us as well. So yeah, thank you, Blue Rose. Let's see, 421, pink sugar fairies was used in the video, and they have been professionally diagnosed. If I remember correctly, the doc didn't believe PSF because of how they presented themselves. Can't speak to that. We don't know who was diagnosed and who does not have an official diagnosis. Again, I think that was the one part where the lecture kind of went awry. Consent should have been obtained there. But we can't speak to the individual systems. Let's see here. Sigil's saying that they also heard two different versions of what a polyphrag system is. Yeah, there seems to be some fuzziness. And that's one of the frustrating things, particularly for us, is there's so much nebulousness up in the air, and it's just why we stick to facts, just the facts, man. Let's see, 420 Witch actually mentioned to my therapist how I found a safe community online within the DI community, even though I don't have DID, because of the level of understanding I found within this community. Thank you. But you guys are the ones making the community. We're just standing on the pond, throwing the rocks in. You're the ones making the ripples. Let's see, Daft is saying, God, remember those days? It took me a long time to realize, yeah, I am okay with not knowing everything. Yeah, exactly, about your own trauma. We know exactly what you mean. Don't poke the bear. Don't poke the bear. Ooh, man, that's tart. Oh, let's see, 5 piece and 9 poly as well, yes, because our altar, Becky created an altar. We have a video about this. Yep, we've seen that one. Sad Doggo, DID is a spectrum. I even think OSDD could be swallowed up by the DID, and then the later wouldn't be so obscure. It would just all be various manifestations of the same basic thing. Yeah, that's a valid viewpoint as well. And unfortunately, I think a lot of this will be settled out by the actual scientific work that's being done, the MRI studies, all of the new stuff. I can't quote them all off the top of our head, but we've covered them in other videos. So I think as knowledge grows, as the stigma to the professionals for digging into this falls away, we will get some more concrete answers of exactly how why this happens. Well, we know why it happens, more how it happens, and the different variants that come through these. We hear every system is different a lot, and yeah, that's true to a certain point. But with DID and the dissociative conditions, there has to be an underlying layer of facts that are common to all of them, and of the various theories that we've read and been presented. The theory of structural dissociation makes the most sense. It has the most scientific fact, the most scientific basis, and the data there to prove it. But it is still a theory, so it is going to change over the course of time with additional knowledge, with additional research, with additional the stuff with feedback from systems like you and I. So yeah, but that's a perfectly valid point there, Sad Doggo. Excellent point, actually. But it would be nice to remove some of the nebulousness that surrounds this. 420 Witch, therapist is happy that I found an online community where I felt understood and accepted. Absolutely. Let's see, Lavender System. We have questions from the Discord. We're part for your all's wife. And we'll post in the comments. Some have seen y'all, some haven't. So if you could please addend where necessary. Not sure quite what you're saying there, but yeah, if you have any questions for our wife, because we're going to do a Q&A with her more where she's going to be, she won't be on camera, but she said that she'll happily write out our answers for us to present. So yeah, absolutely. Please feel free to write that down. Let's see, Ellie, hello. Hello, I thought the ears were usually an hour later, so didn't join earlier because I thought it was soon over. It will be in about 15 minutes because we need to go eat something, but yeah. Let's see, Lavender System saying sorry for the poor grammar, starting to feel a little blendy at the moment. We need to head off soon to get groceries. Okay, be safe, self-care, and thanks for stopping by. Daft Willie saying to the 420 Witch, yeah, totally get that. Have a dissociative disorder, depersonalization disorder based on trauma, so there's a lot of overlap. And just in general, helps a ton to talk with people who get the struggle with mental health. Yeah, absolutely. We're all seeking connection. We're all seeking answers. And, we all have to find our answers where they're the most comfortable for us. And again, these things are not cut and dried and set in stone, except for the underlying basis. And we all want that stability desperately to help to explain our experiences, to help to explain the way that we are, to help us deal. It's like until we were diagnosed 4 years, we had no idea. We didn't know. We knew that we were different. We had finally figured out that we weren't like other folks. But we didn't realize, for example, that other people didn't have people in their heads that you talk to that wouldn't shut up, that you'd argue with, or with you every goddamn waking moment. We thought that was normal. We thought that was the internal dialogue. Guess what? Not so much. we thought that, that you could control your mind, mind over matter, as long as you focused and, didn't give in, that, you could, it was just a matter of self-control and willpower. No, not so much either. Your brain is in control of you, and it's going to do what it wants when it wants. So yeah, it's been a very humbling journey for us. We've had to let go of a lot of the stupid, arrogant preconceptions that we had beforehand. Yeah, so it's been a journey, and it is for all of us. So we're all seeking that connection. We're all seeking answers. Let's see, sad doggo. Okay, torture, I mean work time. Glad we could stay longer. Have a good one all. Bye, sad doggo. Have a great day. Self-care. Let's see, 420 Witch is saying to Daft, been diagnosed with CPTSD and in the process of getting assessed for BPD. And so far, all professionals say I show signs of BPD, but there's overlap of symptoms with CPTSD. Yeah, those are the secondary, tertiary, or the secondary structural dissociation category. Yeah, there's overlap. Let's see, Ellie's saying we were supposed to have therapy yesterday, but then got a message that he got into a car accident, so no therapy till either tonight or next week. He's fine as far as they're aware. Good. That's a terrible thing. You don't want to lose your therapist. Let's see, Daft saying, I don't want to dig at neurotypical people, but sometimes it's just easier to talk about stuff to people who have their own experience with similar struggles. Yeah, exactly. And we've mentioned this before. There are things that you are never going to be able to explain to an NT. They are never going to have that share that point of view because they haven't been through it. Their brain has not been rewired. Their brain works normally. But there are things, the ineffable things that you can say to another system and they'll go, yes, I know exactly what you're talking about. And you know that they know what you're talking about because they are, explaining it as well. So that's been one of the great things about, the channel. And as you guys have built the community, it's been nice to see, not only for us to be able to have other people understand what we're going through, but to see you guys interconnecting and supporting each other with your own experiences as well. We're not we're not the ones who have built this community, if you want to call it that. You guys have, and keep doing it, because there's always somebody at the beginning of the journey. We're all at different stages, and there really is no end game. It's like, okay, functional multiplicity or fusion or whichever your end game is. But the condition itself, the underlying symptoms, they will go on for the rest of your life. We're like this way permanently. It does not go away. Like we were telling our last nurse practitioner, you cannot medicate DID away. It just doesn't work that way, so fighting those battles constantly. But yeah, you're dead on the nose there, Daft Willie. Yeah. Also neurodivergent person and agree 420, which is saying we have the same thoughts about other people being as us, but yeah, no. Ellie's saying they've been having doubt and denial again, go back and forth about what's going on. Also reading several DID books to try to figure out our place in the spectrum. Yeah, and remember, trauma doesn't lie. That's our bulwark against the denial there. Sigil Legion, you still give us a place where we're welcome. Absolutely. Let's see, 420 Witch. Chris, whenever you and your system are live, I feel like I'm spending time hanging out with a family member, and I feel so accepted and seen. So thank you, Chris. You're welcome. You're welcome, and right back at you guys. We feel seen and accepted as well. We greatly appreciate your thoughts and your comments. Let's see, Sigil Legion is agreeing. Yes, absolutely. And that's just basically been our whole focus for the channel is when we started it, we just simply wanted to, because when we first diagnosed, we did what everybody else does. We go online looking for information, and we run into the fact that there's just not a whole hell of it out there. And what you do find is contradictory. You've got one creator saying one thing and one creator saying the other, and you might identify with something that this one's saying, but more so with another, but they're saying this, and this other one's saying this. That's why we decided to stick just the facts, ma'am. It's like we want to give you guys the stuff that's helped us and to give us that firm base underneath to then rebuild your life on top of, because that's what we're doing. When you find out and you're diagnosed and you're working through it, whether you're doing it by yourself or with a therapist, you're unpeeling the layers of your life, and it can be scary. It's really scary because you're having to relearn everything that you thought that you knew. This suddenly somebody has taken a spatula and flipped it under the pancake that is your life and went, "Woo, new picture. Let's go grab the syrup." So yeah, it is good. So it is good to find people reconnecting, whatever. You're live. I was live before. Thank you, YouTube. Ooh, that's dark. So yeah, thank you guys, for being there for us, and with your comments and just watching, the show, and of course those of you who have chosen to help us out directly, we greatly appreciate that. To be honest, we didn't even know, Pia, that some of those were there until we don't check it, maybe once a month, and then it's like, oh wow, thank you. But yeah, that was our focus for starting the channel. It's like, let's try to put some reliable info out there that might be able to help give people the basics. I mean, every DID creator does the DID 101 type thing, but we kind of wanted to go in more in depth into that, and more in depth into trauma and how it, we cover the heavy stuff. We cover the icky stuff, and we weren't expecting to have the level of response that we have had from you guys for covering that kind of those kind of things. And we know it's gut-wrenching. We haven't been shy about sharing what we went through and our traumas, and how it's impacted us, and also the work that we dig into those icky sticky things that others avoid. So we thank you guys for being willing to listen to us talk about those kind of things, and be willing to dig into those gut-wrenching things. But those are some of the most important things to go along. These are the things that the therapist and the trauma therapist will dig into. We have had the advantage of having a trauma therapist, and so we wanted to pass along to you what we learned from her, knowing that there's not everybody who's able to have that privilege, as it were. So yeah, thank all of you for sure. Where'd my chats go? There we go. Roman, you're coming in right at the end there. You're missing. Well, you're only going to get about 15 minutes of the stream here because we need to go eat. But it's good to see you again, Roman, for sure. Hope we're doing well. Off and on, we've been under a lot of stress during the life. Blue Rose is saying we really appreciate the deeper and icky, sticky stuff. Yeah, well, thank you. We'll have more coming up. The theory of structural dissociation, that's going to be trigger free. It's just basically going to be, here's the facts, this is where it goes. So that won't be a huge triggerful, but yeah, we've got a couple of episodes down the line where we're going to have to delve into some of the ickier, nastier stuff again. But so we thank you. Let's see. And our littles love the safe space. Yeah, that was the other, and one of the main major drives behind the channel is that, let's see, Ronan's saying it's nice to have actually someone being real about it, for sure. Well, that's all we can be. 5 Pieces 9 is saying for us today was the realization that we weren't alone with the ghost alters. 3 of them, I think. Yeah, there you go, right there. Just because somebody made a comment in the chat log. So thanks for that support. 420 is saying, appreciate everything you put out, from information to the little stories. Everything you put out is highly appreciated. Thank you very much. Because we're never sure exactly why people come to and watch the channel. Is it the informational stuff? Is it the the alters doing their things? Is it the little stories? For us, the main focus has been the factual stuff that Data and I work on, that comes out of him, and then the little stories, because that was the one thing that we noticed, was nobody had any content for or about littles. It was like this completely, here is the most critical part of the system, and nobody's addressing it because trauma. It's like, well, yeah, but how are the kids, the littles, going to heal if they're just constantly being shoved into the background and not being given a safe space, someplace where they can come out? And it can be completely random. You can be an ANP, and then all of a sudden, oh, you're an EP, and it's freaked out and needs something to do. Well, we wanted to do the safe space, and it's admittedly heavily patterned off of previous kids shows that had psychologists behind them. Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood, the Ding Dong School, which goes way back into the 50s, even before our time. But we've studied these and made note of the common elements and the psychology behind them, and the child psychology behind it. And so that's why, Percival, we present that there's everything from the height of the camera, which is exactly at about the height of a child sitting, say a 5-year-old sitting on the floor. We put it at that eye level. From that to just the outline, the consistency, what Percival says, the format of the show, so they know what to expect each time. And it's that consistent environment, because one of the most important things, and we know this as a parent having gone through it with 4 kids, is consistency. And kids thrive on consistency. They want to know what to expect because it gives them that baseline underneath, to build off of. So we wanted to create something and kind of pick up, like the torch from Mr. Rogers, but towards a very specific set of wounded children. And yeah, in the back of my mind, there's okay, this is weird because our target audience is children, but they're actually adults who are kids. It's like, and there's that the paradox as it was, but that's not how Percival sees it. That's more on my end and Data's end, just for the pure psychology, of it. For Percival, he sees all of the littles as children. That's how he addresses them. That's how he relates to them. He doesn't speak down to them. It's like, oh, I'm so happy to see you again. Are you okay? Because I really do care. He really does care about each and every single one of them. He's very passionate about it. Trust me, he's very passionate about it. So as the show has evolved, because it just started off very simply, but as we've evolved and put in more of the background background elements, like the trees and the sheep that run across, Mr. Bear, and the bit with him, and let's look in the chest of books to get the book. There are all of these little bit parts that serve a greater purpose, which is to draw the littles in and to provide that sense of security and that sense of continuity and consistency, so that they can okay, I'm going to hear a story and Percival will talk to me and he'll say my name. If you guys have let us know your littles' names to be on the sheet. It's like there's actually one there's one more bit that we're going to introduce at some point in the future here that has to do with the tree and the little door in the tree. We're not going to clue that in on the right side of your screen as you're looking at where the sheep flock, Bo Peep and her flock are. There's a reason that we put that door in the tree. It's not just drawn on. It's an actual door that will open up, and there's one more part of the show that we want to introduce, which will probably be towards the latter end where he's tying it all up with the moral. But we'll leave you guys to anticipate as it was on that. But that'll probably be the last major change that we make to the format, to the style of the show, to the look of the show as we have it right now, which was more or less how we had originally envisioned it. We started off very simple, but then it got more and more complex. But I've got it nailed, about dialed into exactly where we want it, and having all of the elements that we want as a part of it. So there's that. And yeah, it's a passionate thing, so we blather on about it. Let's see here. Thought you're not alone, indeed. That is so powerful. Yeah, absolutely. Daft is saying, I must say I love watching movies with littles and put them up to pranks on the others, but that's just me. P is saying, I really appreciate the factual videos and the little safe space. The latter is calming even as adult. Healing, I think, without being able to explain. No, we know what you're saying. And we know that's popular with even NTs. Who doesn't like to hear a story? And Percival tells them really well. We have to say that we have just a little bit of pride on how well that we do the stories with the sound effects. I mean, it's like, for example, The Forgotten Door has been kind of our magnum opus up until this point. There's another one coming along the way, but we really wanted to bring that story to life because we felt that it spoke to us, so we knew that it would speak to you guys. Here's a child that is out of place. He doesn't belong. He's thrust into these strange, traumatizing circumstances, and it's a happily ever after type of a story, but it's got some nice twists, and we read it as kids, or as more than one of us read it, and found a lot of comfort. So we wanted to try to bring that to you guys, and of course do Mr. Key's story justice, which was why I went back in and refilled in all of the sound effects and the background noises that I didn't put in the first time up until chapter 6, and ran it all together so you can just put it on and let it run in the background. And much to our surprise, it's grown to be one of our most watched videos since we put it out. So people must be really connecting to it. So we actually do kind of take pride in that we're able to produce a polished product with everybody pinch hitting, either for the voices or part of it. Okay, so where we're at here. Let's see here. 420 Watch with Mother, the black and was one of my favorites. And Lamb Chop. Oh yeah, I remember Lamb Chop and Lamb Chop's Playhouse. Just got a snapshot of 2 Watch with Mother Sections, Bill and Bendy and Andy Pandy. I'm not familiar with that one, so that must be UK based. But we might have to look that up. Blue Rose, oh yes, the littles speak along with Percival on the content that is consistent, like Mr. Bear and his important word, even the one who doesn't understand English. Yes, see, it goes in, and we're thinking about it not as, okay, these are adults watching the show. We're thinking, this is a child that we're dealing with from, X age to Z age. So it's all pitched towards that. There's a lot of psychology that we've put into it. Just virtually everything you see has a reason and a purpose behind it. Stagecraft, stage setting, as you will. So let's see here. Daft is saying, yeah, what you said is just so true. Hard to find a safe space for littles to actually front. So we do regular little movie nights with my friends system, and I am the responsible adult. Cool. Let's see, Blue Rose, and we all love to say the love strong and not alone thing. Those are really powerful and healing words. Yeah, absolutely. And we wanted to make them proactive words. I mean, it's like entropy system. They signed off in the same type of way. I think theirs was loved, valuable, valid, or something very similar. So we were like, wow, that's a great idea. Because it also follows the dramatic rules of 3. It's like 3 points that, come together and you reinforce them. But we wanted to make ours very, not reactive, but proactive. You are strong. You are loved. And you are not alone. They're proactive terms and so action terms, as it was. I don't know if we're making sense about that. Let's see, Maldwin, hello. You're late. Yeah, unfortunately, we're about ready to sign off here, too. You always seem to hit us at the end. Let's see, 420 Witch was saying Watch with Mother was one of the first kids shows to show Bill and Ben, the Flower Pot Men. It was all little different sketches. Guess with a lot of puppets. It was the bold craft bit. Definitely look it up. Will do. Maldwin saying, I hope you all are well. We wanted to share some news. Got our diagnosis at last. Excellent. Great news there, Maldwin. It's always nice to have that confirmation to deal off with. So, yes, great news. Great bit of news there. See, lost our train of thought. Yeah, the brain is starting to go fuzzy from not eating. We are going to have to go ahead and sign it off. Maldwin, go back and watch the rest of the stream. I'm sorry, we always seem to keep catching you at the end. We'll have to move things around. Maybe move it up an hour or something. This was kind of the time zone that we managed to center on. But yeah, Maldwin, great news, fantastic news. Hopefully you'll have or already have a therapist soon, because that's great. Keep pushing forward. You see, guys? You see? Making progress. You go. Okay, here, sending everyone witchy hugs and blessing. Watch it all, of course. Sending all the love. We blanked on the time. Don't worry about it. We know it doesn't suit everybody. But yeah, go ahead and watch the stream. It's been actually quite an interesting conversation today. We've covered a lot of different stuff, a lot of nebulous stuff, a lot of firm stuff. So we're going to do that. We are going to go ahead and take this opportunity to sign off, guys, and go grab some food. Thank you very much for all of your support. For those of you who have done that, for just supporting the channel. Click like, share, and subscribe. I know it's the standard YouTube thing, but it does help drive the algorithm. We are hanging 60 subs away from 2K. If we could get that done by the end of the year, that would actually fulfill one of our kind of pseudo-nebulous goals, which was, okay, well, maybe by Christmas we'll be able to hit 2K viewers. And we've seen them, they'll trickle in and then they'll back off. And it's like whenever it seems to get around 38, 48 or something, it's like YouTube will screw with, giving us subs and then taking them away. I know that the algorithm goes through and weeds them out from time to time, but it can be very frustrating because it's like just there. So please feel free to share us around if you think that our content is valuable. If you know somebody who might be helped with it, who has a little, who might just like to watch the little stories, please feel free to do that. It'd be greatly appreciated. So we'll go ahead and do that. As we've said, coming up, we will have the episode on theory of structural dissociation once Data gets off of his butt and diagrams it out, and I finish up the infographics, which are pretty damn complex. We'll have that out to you. Rosemary will definitely have an episode out before Christmas. Like I said, we tried to do it the other day, but it just didn't coalesce. But we will get it done, and we will definitely have at least one more little stories, probably 2 before the end of the year, because Percival already has some books picked out. We'll have a new Christmas story, and I think we've got a Halloween story in there as well. We're not sure. whenever we go out to like Goodwill or whatnot, or just browsing around, we always look for the little golden books, and we've probably got about 30 of the dang things by now. So it's not that we don't have more to come down the line. So that's what to look for us. Let me go ahead and check the chat log here before we go out. Okay, everybody saying bye. Daft, yes, we stream once a month at the end of the last Saturday of each month. Let's see, back to the time, figuring out that one session a month is probably, this is Ellie saying not going to be enough, so we're going to try for 4 sessions a month soon. It's $100 versus $220, so well worth the price. Yeah, sounds like your therapist is cutting you a good deal as well. Yes, Daftoli, we do stream once a month, last Saturday of each month, right around the same time. And we do put up a reminder generally a day or two before. Okay, everybody saying goodbye. Everybody saying goodbye. Bon appetit, and thanks for the stream. Thank you guys for coming to join us. Let's see. May all do the best that they can with what they got. That's an excellent phrase there. That's an excellent phrase there, 5 pieces 9. All right, you guys, say it with us since we know you do. We'll catch you next time. And always remember that you are loved, that you are strong, and that you are not alone. All right. This is Chris, Data, and the rest of the Infinity System signing off. We'll see you guys next time. Bye now.